Welcome to the Roar Mindset, Leading Through Chaos. I'm Peter Brandenburger. For nearly 3 decades, I've led teams and programs through the messy middle, where disruption is constant and control is an illusion. Today, I help leaders embrace chaos to turn disruption into an advantage. On this podcast, you'll hear stories, insights, and strategies to help you stop fighting disruption, lead with clarity, and thrive in uncertain times. Today, I talk with Archana Sundareshan. When I first met and worked with her at Intel, we embarked on a challenging program, and she played a significant role in its success. But that was only one dimension of who Archana is. Over time, I've come to know her as a true powerhouse. She's a technologist, a creative, a philanthropist, and a trekker, to name just a few. When Archana sets her mind to something, she makes it happen. She's currently the Director of Program Management in Software and AI, shaping the future of technology. She's also a photographer and writer you can follow on Someday Nomadic or through her book, The Moment I Took a Pause. Beyond that, she is an internationally certified yoga teacher, was crowned Mrs. India Earth 2021 as the second runner-up, and uses her platform to give back, supporting animal care and education for underprivileged children. In this episode, Archana and I explore leadership from the perspective of power, game theory, and the impact of trekking on leadership. Archana shares how she redefines power as an internal energy that cuts through self-doubt, fuels persistence, and frees her from rigid definitions of success. We touch on game theory, including how she applies it to her life, the importance of a finisher's mindset, and why doing what is needed often matters more than what you want to do. She shares pivotal moments from her work and postpartum experiences and reflects on how she resets and continued her journey despite these disruptions. Archana reveals a few intriguing lessons that leaders can borrow from the mountains and trekking, which we surely need to discuss further. Enjoy. Thank you, Archana, for joining today. And
Thank you.
let's
The
start
pleasure
off
was
with,
mine.
yeah, let's just start off with what matters to you today. It's just as a way of checking in and people to get to know a little bit about who you are.
It's a very interesting question you asked, Peter, because just a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking about this question much deeper, but I was anchoring on 3 things the great psychologists or the philosophers have said. And the Sigmund Freud said, it is pleasure that drives people. Answered Atlas says it's power that drives people. And then there's Viktor Frankl who said purpose. And I'm at a stage, very interesting stage in my life, where my daughter has moved out for her undergrad. And then we took a detour of doing a house renovation project, which was a mountain climb in itself. So now that is done, I'm here, come back with full energy to focus on my ambitions and what I want out of life. And when I look at these 3 anchor points about pleasure, power, and purpose, what drives me, I have to say what matters to me right now is power. And power is defined by people in so many ways. And power can mean different things to different people. But to me, it is not about control or dominance over others, but it is a cosmic energy that flows within me. It just cuts through my self-doubt and it breaks all the weight of judgments around me and it keeps fueling me with persistence and patience to work through ambitions. And last but not the least, power also doesn't entangle me to a certain definition of success I might have myself, right? I can define this is what success means to me. It even detaches me from that because who knows, I might know even better than what I even imagined, which is okay. So for me, it is that power within me that keeps driving me. And I'm curious to know what is power to you, Peter?
Oh, yeah. Power to me is like the force behind things. And I think it's more of, I guess it's probably in your terms, more of the calling or the passion. And what's that energy that's pulling you forward? I'll put it this way, is that if you think about what a leader's doing, it's like creating a field, like a magnetic field. And so people can align their individual compasses to a common field and moving in that direction. as opposed to the metaphor that's often used is they're all in the same boat rowing in the same place. But
Mhm.
that's great from like a high level team perspective. But I find in the real world, the individual people on the team are one individuals. So they're not always stuck at the same cadence and working
Yes.
the same
Yes.
exact rowing in the same direction. Some may go off in different places, but if they have a common place to pull forward, that can be really powerful and with respect to leadership and helping to align people through disruptions and uncertainty and the reality of leading in these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think of power in that way, but thank you for that. You said full energy. So what is full energy to you? How does that show up for you?
If I have to break it down, I mentioned three aspects of that power. The very first one that I said is cutting through self-doubt and breaking the judgments
Mm.
from all around me. Let's take, for example, I love trekking, you know that. And if there's a summit to reach, and I want here in the base camp, there is, if you want to carve out a trail from the base camp up to the summit, you have an idea, okay, this is how you can actually go. And the most important aspect is to break the hurdles along the way, because that's what actually keeps you moving, right? If you have too many hurdles, you're just stuck and you can't move. So you need first energy to just remove the most important hurdles. And I believe the mountain is you, the first, because before you climb a mountain, you have to climb the mountain within you. And it is self-doubts which can pull you down. And it can also be the judgments that pull you down, because people are always judging you, and it can affect you in a way, derailing you. So that's the first part. So that energy has to come to capture the mountain within you. So once you've done that, then you need persistence and you need patience, because as you're checking, it's day after day you need to pull in. And there are times you feel extremely exhausted. And even just finishing like one day of practice, reaching your campsite, oh my God, when is the campsite even arriving? There are days you reach there very soon, and there are days which can take too long, but you have to be persistent and patient. You have to think about that day and get there. So this is the second part after you've captured the mountain within you. And the third part is not having an attachment towards the summit, because we have heard from a lot of climbers, there are people um, who have come back from Mount Everest just 50 meters away from the summit. And they've done years of preparation, months or weeks of climb, and a lot of money, energy, everything that's gone. And 50 meters ahead of the summit, if you have to give up and go back, because you have to respect the mountain. The weather doesn't. It's most important is don't die. You be alive, isn't it? It's important to respect the mountain, not have that ego or get attached to that summit. So it's so important to not get entangled to the version of success, the version of summit you have within you. And it's important that energy doesn't build arrogance within you, doesn't build ego or any sorts of attachment. And I always try my best in all humility that I don't get entangled there, because if you get entangled, all that effort that you have put and all the self-doubt, even the capturing the mountain, is just not worth it. And isn't it so amazing that you don't care about the summit also? You so want to walk towards the summit and get there,
Mhm.
and you actually don't care about it. And that's also so powerful in my view.
Yeah. Like the journey or the trekking itself
Yes.
is the thing you're after. And you can experience and be present and be there for those.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. That's great. You also were talking about fueling your ambitions. So what are some of your ambitions these days?
So let me actually give you an anchor on this, right? After I finished graduation, and normally you wind up in a dream job, I did, and I still am in my dream job, which is fantastic. And you always want to have a fairy tale love story, which I did have, which was amazing. And you want to have a doting family, amazing friends. And all of this was amazing. And this was an interesting time that after I had my daughter, probably I went through a certain postpartum depression, because everything that I thought gives me joy was also the reason of agony, because my career was pushing me in one direction. It needed a lot from me. Motherhood needed a lot from me. Me being the role of a doctor and a wife needed a lot from me. And I have my own passions, right, that I want to work on the creative side, and my own dreams. And those were pulling me in a different direction. So I felt like a train. The compartment is here, but this engine's pulling me in all directions. And I said, how can it be that everything that you thought was a reason for your happiness can also be the greatest reasons for your agony and apprehensions and anxiety? That's when it hit me really hard. I actually went back to academia to study, to go back and read through it. And I hit upon game theory. My father is a mathematician, so probably that's why the mathematical principles strike well with me. So game theory, when I have to paraphrase it for life, if life were a game and world its playground, the strategy for you as a player is to make every move towards the way you want to end the game. And first define that. So I wanted to just define what is my end game. And then you start arranging the various elements within it. So you have your career, you have your family, you have your passions, and you have your friends. They're all coming together towards that end game. So what this helped me is that it gave a beautiful meaning to my career. I started looking career in my own new light, rather than just looking at it like I want to keep having that. Okay, I'm a director now, then a senior director, then a VP, and then a senior VP, and a corporate VP, and then a CEO. Then what? What does it even mean? Right?
Yeah.
It gave me meaning. Like my career meant something to me. It doesn't matter even if I'm an engineer, because it's taking me towards my end game. My marriage, I started looking at it in a new light. My motherhood, I started looking at it in a new light. And all my friendships, they were just not about sitting in a coffee shop and sipping a cup of, but those were conversations that fueled me, gave me energy in moving in this direction. My choices became more refined. So that's how, I arrived at this game theory. And from defining of an ambition, I want to travel the world, which you do know, because you can also see with my background, this
Yes.
is my role. I've been to 36 countries so far. I want to travel as much as possible. It's not just counting the number or making that, but I want to travel as much, because I usually travel as an investment. It teaches me a lot. I want to photograph as much. There is a lens of stillness that I always call it Archana's lens of stillness. I want to photograph as much. And I also, now I'm having a certain ambition. This is probably the first time I'm even speaking out this loud in a forum like this. Maybe have some of my photographs with deepest of meanings around the world in probably just 108 walls. I don't know. It's probably just all of walls by Archana Sundareshan, just 108 walls around the world. If my art can find a place and I can have that round the world with my art and the collector, a deep meaning. So that's what I'm working
Yeah.
to. And
That's sharing.
I want to scale the mountains. I don't know if I can turn the camera. There are also
Yeah.
here all the 40 peaks you can actually see. So this is a home, and they fuel me. I don't know if I'll scale the mountains, but at least maybe see all of them. I've probably seen 6 of them so far. I'm probably going to see the 7th one, the Manaslu, this November. So this is my ambition. Just travel the world and let it just do its wonders. It will start working through me, through my photography, through my writing, etc. So that's my ambition, and I want to keep working on
Yeah.
it all out.
That's wonderful, because it's back to that journey and not the destination. You have some ideas of what you want to do, but even in that peak conversation, you were saying you don't have to get up to the top. And maybe you do, but it's being there and seeing it, being part of that experience. And the game theory reminds me of the infinite game versus a finite game. You're playing an infinite game, which is just continuing to explore and experience and share your photography, share your stories, which I know you also do, of your travels. And yeah, I guess I'm curious, why 108? That seems to be a very specific number. of murals
108,
and
it's probably the Indian spiritual connotations. It's
Mm,
normally when we say the mantras or adorations in the name of the cosmic universal consciousness. So usually you do 108 or 1008. So I didn't want to
mhm.
go up to 1008. Let me just start. So there are these divine numbers, which is 7, 11, 21. So it goes on like this. So there was 108. So I wanted to cross the century. So it's just 108. It just came. It just randomly. Maybe
That's
these are
nice.
certain things where there is no rational. It just comes out from your gut. But I'd like to know about this infinite game. Can you elaborate on that, Peter?
Yeah. So there's a comparison between infinite and finite games. So finite games are games you want to win, and
Okay.
infinite games are games you want to continue to play. And
Yeah.
so in this context, you're trying to play an infinite game of, I guess I'll just take like you're trekking and experiencing the world, and you're going through all of this experience. And I know your other infinite game you're playing is sharing. You're sharing your stories, your art, you're just sharing that out to the world so that you're playing this infinite game. And what's different is you don't make the rules and you don't play the game in a way to win. You play for it to continue to go and
That's
continue
a very
on.
interesting
So
way
it's
to put it. Yeah.
yeah. Instead of, like you said, your progression through leadership up to CEO. It's okay. That's a finite game. Like you get to CEO, and then what?
Yeah.
You already asked that question of then what? You could reframe it as, instead of how I climb the corporate ladder, is how am I, I'm trying to think of it, like how do you keep growing your leadership and how do you become a better leader for others and yourself, and conquering the mountain within you first and then with others.
A very refreshing thought. I think I'm going to probably take some elements of it into what my game theory that I have in mind. I think it makes it even more beautiful to look at it. Anything that's infinite humbles you, right?
Mhm.
That's so amazing. The power of infinity is that it just humbles you. And being insignificant in infinity is also very humbling. So thank you, Peter. That's I
Yeah.
thought about it that way.
You said it's powerful, but back to what we were talking about is power. There's so much power in being able to say, hey, I am in this game for the long haul.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
If I start a program to help other leaders, if I say that I'm going to be doing it for years, is very different than, hey, I'm just starting this one program and it lasts for 10 weeks. So yeah, that's the infinite game. An interesting framework that I've been thinking about or reading
Yeah.
about as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll put the book in the notes that I'm currently
I'd
reading.
love to read about it. Yes.
Yeah. From a leadership perspective, as your game theory, how do you apply your game theory to how you lead? And as a reminder to, I know you've heard this from me, but like leadership is a mindset, not only a position, to what we were just talking about. So it's a pretty broad question about leadership, but leadership, how do you lead with game theory? How does that help your leadership?
I think in leadership, actually, game theory gives you a certain framework, right? So you define your end game. So depending on where I am, it is easier to probably take. We could do two examples. If I'm leading at work, we definitely know where we want to get to. It's very measurable objectives of what we want to achieve. There's goals, and there's a timeline. There's a cost to it. So we have certain goals, and it's at every point in time when I'm actually looking at it, there are a few things I keep in mind. First is lead without a title, because I'm not the boss. I'm just one within the team. And for me, it's so much more important that we, as a team, we are mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive in marching towards it. The second part is about the finisher mindset. And I think this you will see me in every which way. Any endeavor that you take, have that finisher mindset. Even though I say that towards the real end or the philosophical end, we don't entitle to it, but the mindset has to be there. I want to be a finisher, right? And give your all towards it. The mindset has to be a finisher. Of course, many times you want to do it, but you may not for various reasons. And there are sound reasons why project may get canceled or the direction may change, but the mindset has to be, I want to be a finisher.
What does a finisher mindset mean to you?
When I take a task, however difficult it is, however whether I like it, I don't like it, I take it to the finish line. That's it. Give your all to take it to the, and there is a corollary to it, which I was just coming to, is this is something my mother has taught me. that in life, it's so much more important to do what is needed than to do what you want. Because if you do what is actually needed, that's what keeps the earth moving. The prime movers of the earth are actually the ones who do what is needed in the moment. Because if you're just focusing on what you want to do, it doesn't get you there.
Hmm.
Because, and I'm extremely thankful to my mom to give me this lesson. A large part of your life is very boring and mundane work, right? You need to get through it, but you need to do it. Get up in the morning, brush your teeth, take care of your health, work out, and be through it, work through it, get through the kitchen, do the dishes, and clean the house, or you do whatever is needed for getting the kids to the school. And all of the many things are very mundane. So in a day,
Hmm.
you're not going to have a lot of wow moments, but you need that resilience and patience and to be in there to do what is needed, isn't it? Because that's when
Yeah.
that gives you a foundation to do what you want. So
Oh,
in the
I like that
leadership,
foundation too. Yeah. And I'm curious, how did your mom instill that on you? The need versus want
I have
corollary.
actually seen her, right? Because through the day, the things that she would do, many times I'd go, oh my God, is it what it takes? She would wake up very before all of us, help me get through school. She had a career of her own, and she would ensure the entire family has food on the plate. It's delicious, it's nutritious, and on time. And she's also working on her own career. She put her priorities behind. I'm sure she wanted to do what she can and still capable of doing so many things in her life, but she not once she would have probably said, I'd rather be doing something else. And she kept
Mm.
doing what is needed. And when I got married and I was like stepping out, there is always one thing that she said, no, my child, I bless that you have a life of a queen, but I will tell you that you need to be a janitor, right? Before being a zero, be a janitor, you need to be able to get down to the gutter, get to the own the mundane tasks and do the activities yourself. That's where you can be independent physically. And she also said that gives you resilience to be even emotionally independent, financially independent, and so forth. So that foundation that she gave was very amazing.
Yeah. So that sounds like it's through a lot of examples and just showing it to you,
Yes.
but
She didn't
also
have to say a lot of words.
right.
Moms don't have to say a lot of words and they just show it by action. So
Yeah.
that's my mindset, Peter. And I'm actually curious to also hear what are your thoughts on the three things that I told you. One is about mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive, the teamwork aspect of it, and the finisher mindset, and doing what is needed is more important than what you want to do. So what's your thinking?
Right. I'll go back to that metaphor of having the magnetic field and the compass. What that makes me think of is, yeah, you need to work towards it. A compass is only, like extending on that metaphor, a compass is only good if you're actually taking some steps towards where you want to go. My only hesitation on exhaustion is like, I don't want to, if this is work related conversation, I don't want people to go and burn out or go too far in what they can bring in. But I think they should give it their all to try to make the collective thing you're working on across the finish line, like in your terms of game theory. So I think it's, yeah, looking at it of committing to it and going for it seems like a great way to look at a team perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we do another example about life? Because even I'm also curious to ask you once I put the game theory into
Sure.
life.
Yeah.
So here I'll give a bit because in an office context, in a work context, it's more because the goals are very clear. In life, it doesn't work that way. I recall one incident because this was a time when my career was thriving. It was all going great. And then comes one day when my employer decided to exit the boarding business. And I was let go. My husband was let go. All that stardom that I had just turned into stardust like this.
Hmm.
And that was probably my last working day. And I had lost my ability to even emote. It was even, I remember August 7th, 2014. And I cried uncontrollably because that day I woke up. I have nowhere to go. And it was so amazing because I started asking, what is my career to me? Is it about certain position or is it about something? No, it isn't. It removed all the paraphernalia about the power, about the position, about the money. I just needed to go somewhere and put my creative energy to work. That's all it meant.
Hmm.
And I said, why not I love every aspect of it? That's when I think the work-life integration began for me. The game theory of actually coming into it. Because if I had only my career as my anchor, if something falls apart, I'm nowhere. I'm broken. I said, I can't be like this. Let me have one ambition for life and let me integrate every aspect of it. And when I was thinking through this, and I had literally broken down and was crying. And there was this call with my dad I was having. And he just said one word. And he just said, think about all the challenges you had in your past. It could be when you were like 5 years old. At that time, you felt you were in the middle of the ocean and you couldn't even come out, swim, but you did come
Hmm.
out of it. So this too shall pass. I know that this too shall pass is a cliche, but when my dad said it, it gave me like infinite energy. And I stood up. That's when that evening I got a call from Intel. And here I am, still
There
after
you are.
11 years in Intel. Intel welcomed me with open arms. I couldn't thank Intel more for giving me the opportunity. And I resurrected in a very different way. I started balancing my life. First thing I did, I can very vividly I remember, is taking my daughter and going on just a girls' trip, just my daughter and me to London for 12 days. Said, let's just go. Let's live out our lives. And my daughter couldn't believe it when she actually landed in London. She asked, Mama, some dreams actually come true. Because she didn't believe it until she landed in London. We were actually going. Because we just impromptu, we just planned and
Hmm.
I had the visa and I just worked out hers because it was very quick. I had the British Airways miles. It was so easy to plan. And I went. And that's when I started looking at, okay, I want to have all these ambitions as I travel, trekking, and all of that. My career became a beautiful reason in a very philanthropic way because I started seeing not only that my career fuels my ambitions, but also giving me a sense of purpose that it is this technology that we are building is the reason how we are empowering the world. We are making it as level playing field as possible, and we are removing the barriers. We are eliminating time and space. It's a parameter. And even we are
Yeah.
able to have this podcast with me sitting in India and you in the US because of technology. And I'm that one minuscule engineer contributing to it. And I'm so grateful Intel is giving that opportunity and fueling this, making me part of this journey. I know it's a long answer, Peter, but somehow when you have that when we disconnect various things in our lives. Like I had always looked at my career as my anchor. When it was lost, I didn't know. So game theory brought me in. Okay, let's work on my
Mm.
life. So there is life. I am a daughter. I am a mother. I could do so many things and still keep working. I will find a new place. And I found Intel.
Yeah,
And
that's a great story, especially for all the people at Intel, our colleagues who
yes,
have lost their job. And I'm finding too that a lot of them have this identity that they are what they work or where they work.
yeah,
And first of all, it's false. That's not who you are. That's one part of what you do and how you spend your time and where you put and like how you put it, your creative focus. But it's not all that you are. And I like reminding people, hey, when you wake up the next day, you're still breathing. If it was you, I'd say you're still breathing. You're still on the ground in India. You still
yes,
have your husband and your daughter and your family, and you still are able to track, like, not everything has changed. And this is the vast, like the majority of you hasn't changed, like the vast majority when these
exactly.
transitions. So it's a
Yes.
great story to share with people, especially going through it right now, because there's hope.
I'm actually curious to hear from you about the work-life integration aspect of it from a game theory. So when you look at life, you hit like various milestones, right? So you have your
Mhm.
So there's a marriage, there's a milestone, and then you have the kids, and then the kids' milestones. You keep progressing, and then you have your career progressing. So I'm actually curious about, first of all, do you adopt a certain version of game theory without even actually calling it a game theory? Do you adopt in your life?
Yeah, I haven't studied game theory nearly as much as you, but I think have I adopted some of it for sure. What came to mind as maybe a challenge actually is you talked about the progression of you graduate, get a job, you get married, retire, whatever that
Yeah.
progression is that people expect, but it's not the way life is. In other words, life is not linear. It's definitely
It is not.
nonlinear.
Yes.
And I thought I was going to I did think I was going to retire from Intel and stop working. Didn't happen. And go through it where I lived, where locations in the world we've lived, and all kinds of things. It wasn't planned. It's not a progression per se. It's just what happens. So I think a game theory I guess I'm not sure about if game theory allows for the non-linearity towards the finishing.
Oh,
You
that
make money
happens. Yes.
or
Yes.
whatever.
More of this happens, but we have to sometimes, as we said, to take a leap, you need to take a few steps back and then move forward, right?
Yeah. And you learn a
Um,
lot from those regressions
Yes.
and
Yes.
sideways
Yeah.
movements. Even from a career perspective, if you're climbing a ladder, I think it's very common that when you are doing that, you go horizontally too to get these other experiences. And so you're in different roles of a company. Like before you're CEO, you do the engineering, you do the manufacturing, you do the sales, you do the market, you do whatever variety you can so you understand it a little bit more. And to some extent, I think setbacks, layoffs, like when you got laid off and you had to find a new job and your husband at the same time, which is obviously more difficult. That's where your identity became, how I would put or summarize what you said is your identity became your whole self, not just your work self. And so
Indeed.
you were able
Yes.
to expand that. And I know you since then and all your ambitions and what you've accomplished.
Yes.
Was
Because now
transformed by that.
depending on where I am, I introduce myself in a different way because all the time until maybe all this happened, I was like, I'm an engineer. I work at this particular company. But depending on where I am, if I'm actually checking, when people ask me, what do you do? I say, photographer. Or I'm a travel enthusiastic. I'm a travel blogger. I'm a photographer. And you can have so many, or if I'm in a different context, sometimes I say, we're talking about nutrition and health. I say, I'm an international certified yoga teacher. So I could not have to have anchor into one and make it my whole identity. And talking about detours, I don't know why when we mentioned that there's a very interesting conversation around the spirituality that I was having with my friends who are also very deeply interested in inquiring about what is self and life and all of this. And they say that when you look at it 100% logically, many times marriage doesn't even make sense. And look at still people go out, they have these beautiful love stories, they have children. And I actually look at this as an interesting detour because if I want to visit 196 countries, maybe I've already done it by now. But until now, I've done only 36 countries because we have to look at my daughter's summer holidays, whether my husband is getting the time off, and all of this. It is slower, but it's so beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, many things. One is only 36 countries. I don't know what the statistics are, but you've got to be way in the high percentile of the humans on Earth that have been to 36 countries. So I'll just state that. Maybe it's not the 200, but there's very few people I'm guessing who've been at 200. That's one. And then, yes, acknowledging that you said that there was a detour, and maybe what came to my mind is maybe that's just what was meant to be. Like this was the road you were meant to take, and you feel like it's a detour because of this. This is a good example of linearity. Oh, you feel like this is the road you should be on, like doing this and this, or the road to 200 countries. But hey, you take 3 years and don't travel at all because you're taking care of your family. Oh,
Indeed.
That's not a detour. That's just the meandering path and regression, or if you would call it like to the number of 200, it's a regression. That's what life is about, is being there in those moments and not pushing through and going, nope, I have to go travel. Because imagine if you go travel in those times when you're being called to do something else, you're going to feel, it's not going to feel right. It's going to be checking a box instead of actually experiencing whatever that country you
Yes.
went to.
You perfect word, and thank you. I was probably struggling for those words. It's just not about checking the box or even you define a certain success. It's just not about checking it. Enjoying the journey, and it's so beautiful when you have a partner to share with and you have a child to share with it. And as a family, we're able to travel and create so much more memories, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah. I was going to say you shouldn't check your 108th box of the mural, but I am interested to see if that actually would happen. That's going to be great to see that journey. Kind of, we've been talking about a lot about your trekking and travels. So I'm curious about what you bring to your leadership that you've learned through trekking and your travels.
Oh, guys, we can actually do a series of a podcast about everything about what trekking and travels has taught me about leadership. Maybe this is, maybe I'm trying to manifest this in this podcast.
Yeah.
Don't mind it.
Well,
But
let's make that happen.
hopefully, yes, I would love to do that. And even I want to hear from you because you do travel a lot and you do a lot of adventures. But let's take trekking because, of course, travel and trekking are two different things. Like when I just look at trekking, I think the most amazing thing that trekking has actually taught me is I just take this 15 kgs of a duffel bag and everything I need fits into it. And I can have a life with just that much. And many times in life or in leadership, whether it's you're applying leadership to life or at work, what are those just minimal things you need to have? You don't need a big laundry list and all the luxurious things to actually move forward. The need for you to even keep moving forward or even to achieve success also, you need very minimal things and you need to be able to identify that because king is a lot of intellect because when you're doing what is that minimum things I need, and it should not cross 15 kgs. That's a max. That's it. So what am I going to pack? And this is a subject we did in engineering also, right? Operations research, which essentially tells you what are these minimal elements, and cost is a huge factor in leadership and execution. Even when you're running the house, the budgets that we do, truncate budgets that you need, how much can you do? That minimalism and simplicity that it actually brings is amazing. And also you understand what is a need and what's a luxury. And that's a huge wisdom to have in leadership. So that's the number one.
I think that the simplicity there is very interesting. And the other thing that came up when you said the simplicity was there's like a minimal viable product or MVP. And like people who are in product development or even in your designing your life, you could apply this, which is how do you try out and experiment with the minimal viable, like really a simple version of what you think you want to go do and get that feedback and get the experimentation going there. That's, having that simplicity is really good. And then the other thing is when you talked about restrictions of the 15 kilograms, but it's like from a leadership perspective, you talked about money, which is great. The other one is time. Like you only have time to go do so many things. So knowing what you have to do or need to do instead of want to do, to what your mother said, or what's a luxury that's a very good lesson for leaders.
Yeah. And the second aspect I would say is the power of now, right? So when I'm trekking, all we can think about is that day. Reaching the next campsite. You want to get to a summit, that's right. But if you have your head on the summit, you can't even get through today. As much as people will say, okay, you can get that, it doesn't even help you to think about the summit because you think about today. Understand what the trail is. Understand what it actually takes. What kind of resilience, what do you need to pack, what you need in a duffel, how is the weather today, what all your needs in your day pack, how much water you need, and you need extra snacks that you want to actually carry. So you're actually planning the day because every day you do it, You'll obviously hit the summit, isn't it? So think about today. So the power of now is something that it has helped me. And in a lot of projects, I'm into program management. And for me, that day-wise sense of achievement is extremely important. I want to see that we're making day-wise progress. And this mindset comes from there. Like today, where did we get? Okay, you have a long project, right? And you want, okay, have we moved in? Like, what KPIs have we measured? Have we got a few things? Has the IP development moved on? Have we done the basic tests? Same thing even with life, right? Have we made progress? Have we done our work today? So that's point the power of now. And I see you smiling.
Yeah, there's because the power of now and like I like what you said about the breaking down a long-term thing into a short-term. So this can be very much, I'm using more leadership terms, which is if you have a huge project and it's really hard to see how you might get there or if you're going to get there or the team to see it. And as you as a leader to go, look, we just need to take one step. And when you take one step, you're moving towards that. And it's kind of like celebrating the small wins on the way. I think the real reason why I was smiling is that one of the lessons I learned when I'm outdoors a lot, and I think it applies to leadership as well, is when you're looking at the summit, like quite literally looking at a summit and walking, or in my case, mountain biking or skiing, bad things usually happen. You stumble,
Yeah.
you ride yourself off the mountain bike trail and crash. These are all real things that have happened. And so there's two things. One, either be very present in what's in front of you, or stop. This is a very weird concept for me, or a concept that always challenges me. If I'm in a middle ride, it's a workout. It's I'm getting from A to B, and I need to keep moving. And it's oh no, I don't. I can stop and simply stop and be quiet and be silent and observe, and then get back into the mode of moving and trying to do both. Like I'll just bring up mountain biking. Usually leads to a crash. Like I go off the trail because I'm not paying attention to the now when I'm looking at something in the future or in the peripheral, like a beautiful view. So that's why I was smiling, because I feel like I've been learning that lesson quite a bit over and over again.
And the last, of course, I can go on and say 100 things, but I'm going to stick to three. Three again is a number I pick from my gut. Don't ask me why three. So the third one I'm going to say is you don't have your family on the mountains. You're just by yourselves, right? So you have, of course, your trekking company, other people trekking along the road. And we need to believe in the bridges we build with people we don't even know. There is a lot of power in that. Because normally we hear there is something about people could do, could not do. They could do, we said, okay, there's family who supported. They couldn't do because there's family support wasn't there. I think we are putting too much pressure on the family or even your near and dear ones. You look at the power of unknown relationships or unknown bridges that you're going to build. And I have probably made deepest connections with people. I have just spent like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and they have probably even ended up saving my life or somebody else's life. I've seen that happen, right? Because people who end up in altitude sickness, so there are 4 unknown people helping you and in your life because of them. So trust in that bridge that you're going to actually build. So when you walk along, have an open heart, right? Don't close doors. Everyone you meet along the way, who knows how they're going to touch your life, right? And be open for that magic on the mountains. In the same way in life, before actually coming to this podcast, I did call up my parents, there's no doubt, but I did call 2 or 3 of my other friends who I just had met long for some time. Probably haven't spent as much time as family with them, but the impact they've made on my life is so profound. I can't thank enough. In the same way, in all my trekking friends, most of them, I still remember them. We might not talk. Only when I go for the next trek, we just ping, okay, do you want to come along? Do you want to come along? So be open to the magic of the relationships. And the second thing, also be open to what other things the mountain is bringing out of you. I don't think I would be a photographer or a storyteller. I could have launched my book without this Himalayan stories. I remember I hit a roadblock when I was publishing my first book and I gave all these pictures. And the publisher said, no, we can't go with this much pictures of me because I wanted to do one exclusive book on just Himalayas, but I held back all that for the second book. But then I needed to bring out all that in my first book, only then it would just get launched. Then I said, okay, Himalayas is part of every book that I'm going to do in future, as well as the first book. It came out. So I wouldn't be a storyteller. I wouldn't be a photographer without the mountain. So always be open to what all the mountain is actually bringing out.
Yeah, we can do a whole episode just on
He's sure, isn't it?
what is nature trying to tell us?
Yeah.
And I often reflect on that these days is what are we trying to learn? But that first part of your story bring up three things. There's a reflection, there's a challenge for you, and there's an offering for everybody. So the reflection is when, like, it's community. One way of looking at this is who's the community that's supporting you? And you're in a new community and you're with a community often has a common reason for being a community, and you're trekking with others. You're on a common journey to go up and come back and be safe and enjoy it and so forth. So you have a sense. So when somebody gets altitude sickness, as you said, there's a common journey that everybody's there, and hey, next time it might be me, and then there's a shared piece of community. So that's one reflection from that. And for leaders, it's, yeah, who is your community? And I ask leaders quite a bit, who do you talk to besides your manager, or your manager's manager, or some people like really close to your thing? But do you have other people who are leaders that are going through similar journeys? And I think it's a very powerful way to have a group of folks that you can go talk to that will bring in new reflections, will challenge you, support you, hold you accountable for all those things. So that's one thing. The challenge is, I'd challenge you that your family is actually with you.
Yes.
They're not physically with you.
Absolutely. In spirit, yes.
So it's this like maybe even a literal helping, pushing hands up the mountain and down, helpful support coming down. So that's my challenge to you, and I guess to others, when you think that they're not physically with you, but are there in spirit or in sense or in purpose and meaning. And then you have the offering. When you talked about reaching out to your other trekkers, one thing that I do and I enjoy doing is keeping up those connections. And so to me, an offering is, hey, if you think about somebody, send them a quick text with, or a quick video or a quick offering of, hey, I heard a song today. So one I think, like, I heard a song reminding me of you. That's it. And do it without expectation that they even reply. How I look at it is I'm giving them a gift, because if you get something like that from somebody, you're like, oh, my day is a little better because I know they're connecting with me. Even if we don't talk, but it's just, I'm thinking about you. I had some connection somehow, and that's usually what sparks it. It's just reaching out and keeping up those relationships, because relationships, when we get busy, can fade away. As we wind down, what's the one word that describes your leadership mindset? That you as the one word right now.
One word right now. Game theory. I don't know why.
2 words.
2 words and.
Okay, game. I'll take it. I'll take his game theory. That's good.
Actually, game is also a very beautiful way to look at it, because if you look at the sportsmanship, right? That's really good. Maybe take it as a sportsmanship, right? So when you go to a game, you go with the spirit of a sportsmanship. You give your all, like your life depends on it, but you're detached from the result. You play to win, but whatever the result it is, accept it gracefully and you move on to the next game. And you again give yourself. So let's do it in the game theory of sportsmanship as a word.
Game has the community. Game has a lot of what we talked about today, because there's the community aspect of games and teams, and then just playing and having fun, like that aspect of a game.
Fun is also a very important element, yes.
Like just go play. Let's play.
Yeah,
the spirit and the camaraderie, the community. I like that.
Maybe I should leave you with 2 other words. Nomads, notions, Peter. Maybe we should continue on the discussions, and I'd love to come back and talk to you about your travel experiences, what it has taught you about leadership, not only leadership, so many other aspects of life.
Yeah,
And
leadership as a mindset can go Yeah. Okay, we can go do that. And I like that name. And yeah, and we can talk about the leadership from a mindset perspective, which applies everywhere.
Yes,
And yeah, how it helps leaders through chaos and uncertainty and all that's in front of them these days.
indeed.
Thank you for joining today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Peter. It was absolute pleasure. And I don't know how this time went by. I've definitely learned a lot. You've left me with so many amazing bites. I'm going to go and adopt in my life. Thank you so much.
That's great. And it won't be the last. So we'll see you in another episode.
Yeah.
All right.
You so
Thank you.
much.
Thanks for listening to Roar Mindset, Leading Through Chaos. Disruption isn't going away, but you can embrace it and turn it into an advantage. Until next time, stop fighting disruption, lead with clarity, and thrive in uncertain times.